Sagittarians, do you ever feel like you're constantly chasing the horizon, only to find true freedom remains just out of reach? This isn't about abandoning your adventurous spirit, but understanding a crucial astrological warning. Running away from discomfort no longer guarantees the liberation you seek. It's time to examine why constant motion might be masking deeper avoidance. You, dear Sagittarius, are known for your love of movement, curiosity, and hunger for new horizons. This warning suggests that constant external motion can sometimes mask inner avoidance. It can reduce your true autonomy rather than expanding it. This isn't about stopping your exploration, but refining it. We'll explore how planetary patterns amplify this tendency and offer clear steps. The goal is to convert restlessness into deliberate expansion, not reactive escape. Your sign deeply values independence, novelty, and discovering meaning through experience. This makes physical or emotional movement feel like the ultimate liberation. Escaping constraints often appears as a direct path to protect your autonomy. However, repeated flight can be a short-term fix, avoiding the deeper work needed for sustainable freedom. We'll help you differentiate between healthy exploration and avoidance-driven flight. Astrology uses archetypal language to illuminate behavioral patterns and timing. For Sagittarius, transits involving Jupiter, your ruler, Saturn, responsibility, and Pluto, transformation, are key. These placements indicate when impulses to run increase and when constructive restraint is needed. Understanding these planetary dynamics helps you harness them. You can cultivate genuine freedom by aligning with these cosmic influences. You might feel a push-pull between expansion and responsibility, or liberation and structural change. Jupiter transits heighten your desire for movement, but watch for overcommitting. Saturn transits bring a need for structure, which can make you feel trapped and seek immediate escape. Pluto transits urge deep identity changes, risking radical moves without processing consequences. Neptune aspects can lead to idealizing alternatives, escaping into fantasies. Mars aspects trigger sudden bursts of action, leading to impulsive decisions without planning. The impulse to run often stems from unresolved fear, discomfort with vulnerability, or past experiences where flight brought temporary relief. You might equate movement with emotional renewal because it was rewarded before. Examine beliefs that reinforce escape, like distrust of commitment or the idea that change must be external. Recognizing these roots is the first step to choosing differently. You'll likely encounter cognitive distortions that favor flight. These include black and white thinking, catastrophizing, and selective attention to novelty. When these patterns activate, running seems like the only rational response. Interrupt these distortions by practicing cognitive restructuring. Track your decision-making and test alternative narratives that emphasize agency and responsibility. Running offers short-term relief, but often increases long-term stress. It erodes intimate relationships and undermines professional credibility. You may experience chronic unrest, aimlessness, or repeated cycles of starting and stopping. Weigh immediate relief against cumulative costs. Ask if your flight is expanding your life or merely postponing necessary growth. In relationships, your tendency to flee can be seen as unreliability or emotional unavailability. Partners may respond with frustration or distance. This paradoxically reduces the genuine freedom you seek. Balance autonomy with relational responsibility by communicating needs and negotiating boundaries. This strengthens intimacy and allows freer movement within a stable base. Use explicit language about your needs, timelines, and limits. Frequent check-ins and transparent decision-making reduce misunderstandings that trigger flight. I statements describe your feelings without blame, lowering defensiveness. Setting timeframes reduces anxiety about open-ended decisions. Mutual contingency plans maintain connection during temporary separation. Clarifying ground rules for leaving prevents impulsive exits that damage trust. Professionally, frequent job changes or unfinished projects interrupt momentum. Your reputation for unreliability can lead to fewer leadership opportunities. This diminishes your professional capital. Evaluate if mobility is a strategic choice for growth or a reactive escape from discomfort. Building a repeatable process for career moves preserves financial stability and credibility. When considering job or location changes, weigh benefits, risks, and alternatives. A structured checklist helps determine if leaving aligns with your growth plan or is avoidance. Clarify dissatisfaction. What isn't working? Explore alternatives. Can conditions change without leaving? Project future outcomes. Where will each option lead? Assess risks. What are the financial and reputational costs? Create a commitment plan. How will you follow through? Constant movement and chronic stress from unresolved issues can manifest as sleep disturbances, anxiety, and burnout. You might use travel or new activities as escapes, masking underlying distress. Prioritize consistent routines that support physiological regulation and grounding. Regular sleep, nutrition, moderate exercise, and mindfulness help you tolerate discomfort without fleeing. Simple, repeatable practices help you stay present and reduce the urge to run. These include breathwork, short mindful pauses, and scheduled reflection time. Try 3-minute box breathing to reduce arousal. Engage in 10-minute reflective journaling on emotional triggers. Take 30 minutes for a single-task walking meditation. Review decisions weekly with a trusted advisor. You might equate freedom with external mobility, but spiritual freedom often emerges from inner acceptance and responsibility. Authentic freedom involves choosing your response regardless of external conditions. Integrate a practice that cultivates presence and moral agency. This could be contemplation, ethical commitment, or service. This translates philosophical ideals into lived freedom. Rituals don't need to be elaborate. They should be meaningful and repeatable. Use rituals to mark transitions, honor commitments, and anchor intentions. Consider a weekly ritual where you review your values, assess alignment with your actions, and set one concrete step toward a long-term goal. This reinforces continuity and reduces impulsive departures. You need a stepwise plan to transition from fleeing to choosing. First, pause for 10 minutes when you feel the urge to run. Write down triggers and intended actions. Next, reframe your options. Generate 3 alternatives to leaving: 2 that involve staying and resolving, 1 that involves planned departure. Commit to a minimum period, e.g. 30 days of staying and applying alternatives. Seek accountability from a trusted person. Finally, reevaluate with data after the commitment window. Create friction against impulsive exits by implementing small structural barriers. For example, require a 48-hour cooling-off period before major decisions. Schedule a 24-hour consultation with a mentor for significant moves. These practical constraints protect you from reactive choices. They create space for reflective action. Financial instability often forces reactive choices. Create an emergency fund and a contingency budget to reduce economic pressure to leave prematurely. This buffer gives you more thoughtful options. Aim for 3 to 6 months of essential expenses and emergency savings. Plan 6 to 12 months for planned transitions. Reduce high-interest debt. Budget 2 to 5% of income for self-care. Seek therapy, coaching, or medical support if avoidance leads to recurrent problems. This includes issues in relationships, work, or health. Chronic avoidance may signal unresolved trauma or mood disorders requiring intervention. Timely professional help shortens recovery time. It increases the likelihood of sustainable change. Different professionals serve different purposes. Therapists address deep emotional patterns. Coaches help with behavioral change and goal alignment. Financial advisors provide fiscal planning. Select a practitioner whose methods align with your objectives and values. Interview potential professionals, clarify goals, and set measurable indicators of progress. Structured reflection helps identify patterns and practice new responses. Keep a weekly pattern log. Record instances you wanted to leave, triggers, and outcomes. Conduct a values audit. List your top 5 values and rate how recent choices align. Try a 30-day commitment experiment in one context where you habitually run. Write a future self letter describing your journey to sustainable freedom. Consider these examples. If you receive an unattractive job offer and feel the urge to relocate instantly, instead, test the job for 3 months while negotiating specific conditions. This preserves options. If a romantic relationship becomes demanding and you contemplate leaving, implement short-term boundaries and structured conversations to clarify needs. Do this before making permanent choices. There are myths that justify running, that movement always equals growth, that commitment equals imprisonment, or that failure is permanently defining. These beliefs simplify complex realities. Critically interrogate such myths. Replace them with balanced beliefs that honor your desire for freedom and the responsibilities that make it sustainable. You'll often see these myths manifest as quick, romanticized solutions. If I move countries, everything will change. Or if I quit, I will be free. Both ignore the internal work required. Recognizing this helps you create realistic plans. Track progress by defining measurable outcomes that reflect authentic freedom. Metrics might include relationship stability, project completion rates, financial buffers, and subjective well-being scores. Use a simple dashboard reviewed monthly to stay accountable. This disciplined measurement prevents you from mistaking motion for growth. Build a toolkit that supports intentional decision-making. Useful resources include books on cognitive behavioral strategies, professional therapists and coaches, financial planning tools, and peer support networks. Create a personalized list of tools. Update it as you learn what works best for you. This horoscope warning invites you to reevaluate what freedom truly means. Running can be seductive, but genuine freedom grows from responsibility, self-awareness, and deliberate action. Commit to a 48-hour rule for major decisions today. Try a 30-day experiment in one domain where you habitually run. Monitor outcomes and iterate your approach. You are not being asked to abandon your Sagittarian strengths of curiosity and adventure. Instead, you are encouraged to bring those strengths into a framework of intentional, sustainable choices. Running is often an avoidance tactic disguised as freedom. True liberation requires responsibility, reflective practices, and strategic planning. Accept the challenge to test alternatives, create accountability, and measure results. In doing so, you will reclaim a form of freedom that endures and aligns with your highest aspirations. Start your 30-day experiment today and share your insights in the comments below.